And now we're going to head to the theatre because recently Lee had a chance to check out Sunset Boulevard. So Lee, what was Sunset Boulevard like here in Melbourne?
Okay, so I went along on the night that Sylvie Palladino was playing Norma Desmond. Now, the main role is usually being played by Sarah Brightman, but special treat, I got to see Sylvie Palladino. We had Tim Draxel as Joe Gillis, Robert Grubb as Max von Mayerling, Ashley Rubinek as Betty Schaefer, Jared Draper as Artie Green, and Paul Hanlon as Cecil DeMille. So quite a small cast. There were some others, of course, that did some singing and dancing and things like that in between. Now, this is a story of a woman who constantly reminisces about the past, a Hollywood actress who believes she is still famous and she believes she'll return to the big screen and will be famous again. She's a woman who lives in delusion, absolute delusion, and she uses manipulation and self-harm to trap a man into having a relationship with her. There's some really great twists in this, and there's some great reveals throughout the story. It's really quite a melancholy psychological thriller. I don't know if I was expecting it to be so dark, actually. For a moment I turned to my friend and I said, oh, this feels a bit Psycho, like, you know, the old Psycho movie, just in terms of not knowing what was around the corner and realising how much manipulation was within the storyline. The costumes in this was absolutely stunning, especially for Norman Desmond's character. There are a number of outfits and I found myself just looking at them just amazed and thinking, oh my goodness, the designer is absolutely amazing here. I wished I had some of her clothes actually, and my friend who was sitting with me commented on the same. The acting was superb throughout, and of course the singing was absolutely magnificent, and it left the audience with no choice but to give a standing ovation. In fact, I do not think there was one person sitting down at the end. Now, Dave, I know you and I had to talk before I went about would people be disappointed if Sarah Brightman wasn't on stage and Sylvie was? And I have to say that I did not feel that there was anyone who minded that Sylvia was on the stage. In fact, as soon as Sylvie came out, people were clapping and cheering to the point where she kind of had to stand and wait to go on with her role before everyone settled down. Every performance and every scene that she did, people were clapping uncontrollably and cheering her, and you can tell she is just an amazing Australian performer, and I think it was a real treat to see her in this role. She did an absolutely wonderful job, and I'd really recommend whether you go and see Sarah or Sylvie in this role, it is really worth seeing. It is definitely not a happy storyline, but it is definitely a psychological thriller that will keep you guessing, and you're really invested in the storyline. You want certain outcomes to happen, and you're never sure if it's going to. So if you get a chance, go along and get tickets to Sunset Boulevard. You can actually go to their website, sunsetmusical.com.au, and there are some treats on this website. There's a gallery, you'll see the cast members, and if you go to the music tab, there's actually also a whole list of the songs that you can save to Spotify as well. So I recommend checking it out and going along to see it.
Now I have to ask, how was Robert Grubb? Because of course I am a huge fan of the Flying Doctors, and I actually got to sit next to him on a flight once. So how was Robert Grubb?
I thought he did so well in his role. He was so convincing. There was a mystery about his character that he pulled off so well. And yeah, there were some things that he was able to hide well that came out in the storyline later, and it was like I knew there was something but I wasn't sure what. Yeah, his performance was magnificent. I have to say the whole cast was, and I thought that Tim Draxel, who played Joe Gillis, who was kind of caught in Norma Desmond's path, he couldn't really escape her. He did an absolutely stunning role as well. I was just so impressed.
Okay, so that is Lee's thoughts on Sunset Boulevard, and Lee's going to join us a little bit later on the show as well to tell us her thoughts on The Woman in Black.